Shalom, 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 shalom. How's everybody doing out there this evening? Shout out to anyone that is coming on. Welcome to the One Flesh podcast that was started by our big brother, Suka bin Maccabees. It's your boy, Pesky One, aka Yehukanan bin Yah, and my brother. I can see in the passenger seat this week. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Moray Agent Z.
Call me Agent Z, and they call me your boy Gene. All praise to the King.
The most humblest brother I know. How was
Oh,
your day, my brother?
oh,
Good day.
oh, it's been a good day, man.
That's what's
It's been a
up.
good
That's
day.
what's up.
Like I said, it's been pretty a long day, but it's been a good day.
Amen.
And we are blessed, man. How was it for you?
Same thing. Ramping up my trainings. Actually, these trainings today were more interesting as far as directly to what I'll be doing with the coming school year and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm excited about that. But other than that, just pretty chill otherwise. So we'll see when the heat get turned up. Try to make a difference. So the
Okay,
people we're going to interact with. So
bro.
yeah, yeah. If you can hear us, if we can be heard, please put a one in the chat. Please put a one in the chat. We can be heard. We can be heard.
Please put a one in the chat if we can be heard.
Please put a one in the chat.
They on
Yeah,
Facebook.
I know they might be on YouTube. I don't know if anybody's on Facebook. I did shoot out some invites. If we can be heard, put a one in the chat. Either that, we have a very shy audience.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with that being said, if people are going to play shy, we're just going to teach it that we're going to talk about it anyway. So, just leaving it for a thought. Like I said, feel free to jump in at any time. Hey, Sister BJ, how you doing, dear sister? That being said,
Well,
we'll jump in at any time. But just a thought out there uh, that when the Most High formed man, He formed women. He gave us a direct command, a direct word. He said, "Be fruitful and multiply." He said, "Be fruitful and multiply." And I just like to leave a thought. We got it half right. We got it half right. Obviously, we got some work to do, but we got it half right. But let's lay some background as to the thought on this or as to the mindset on this because we started a series of lessons. And basically, what we were talking about when you talk about marriage, you're talking about a death certificate, being willing to die, coming in with a mindset to die to yourself. We had talked about and brought up examples of the king and how he has been. Oh, we got to have to play for Sister BJ.
a little better, sis.
Yeah, we got to. Yeah, we can't be having that. Too many people have been leaving here the past couple days. So, okay, you got to put Sister BJ in the prayers. But that being said, we've been talking about the fact of what it looks like or the journey to that. So when you talk about marriage or understanding the marriage and what it means to fulfill this commandment, and there's so many other things that we could talk about as to getting to this point, but this point just fell on me. Um, I want to say about a couple weeks or so ago when you talk about being fruitful and multiplying because we're definitely multiplying.
Hmm.
We're definitely there's a lot of us out there. There's a lot of us doing, what we
I
do.
know always wise, but you're definitely right.
We're definitely out there multiplying. But are we being fruitful? And I think that's the question that we need to ask because coming into the marriage, coming into the union, coming into the oneness, the way that the Father ordained it, the way that the Father set it out, He gave us two commandments with that. And so we've been doing a lot of fulfilling of the part of that commandment because there are a lot of us out there. But we leave out the first part of that commandment. And I'm not talking about individually. Some of you in your walk are strong individually. I'm talking about us as a people, as a nation, and things of that nature. So here's what I'm going to do. This young man, he just came up. I honestly, I've never heard of him, but his video has been making the rounds. I mean, when I'm talking about everybody's doing a reaction to him, they're doing a reaction to him, and I thought it might be very apropos about what we're going to talk about a little bit this evening, because before you get into this agreement, this covenant, there has to be a mindset of the fruit. And I think what happens is the Bible says to prove a friend. To prove a friend. What's happening is we're getting into covenants, we're getting into agreements with people, but they haven't been proven. They haven't gone through the necessary steps to be vetted out. And especially when you talk about the marital covenant, especially when it becomes the covenant or the agreement between a prospective son-in-law and the father, what's going on is that son or that prospective son is not paying the bride price. So whether it's the daughter that's moving out of season or the son is moving behind the scenes, whatever is going on, when you talk about the formulation of family in Israel, the bride price is not being paid because we're not going through the proper channels to make sure that there is fruit there. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to play this video. I think this is interesting. I think it's about a 15-minute video. So we'll say fair use first and foremost, and this is for educational purposes. And we'll do some reaction. We'll talk about it, and we'll get into a few scriptures tonight, and we'll talk about a few things as to what it means. We talk about being fruitful and multiplying. But let me go ahead and share my screen. And my brother, feel free, of course, to jump in anytime you want. I hit the wrong button. Oh, no, it's the right button. Share screen. Bro, I've been sharing my screen so long, I forgot how to do it. Can y'all see my screen? Do I need to make it bigger?
Make it a little bigger, but I can see it.
All right. Shoot, hold on. Because I ought to play it.
It'd be the corner at the bottom. Yep, they.
Do I? No, that's not it.
That's it.
Huh?
Oh, do it again.
Yeah, right there.
Yep.
That better? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
This is why there's so many broken homes, because we tell these women to be loyal to men that aren't loyal to them, and they try.
A few moments later.
I'm embarrassed, I'm ashamed, I'm hurt. But I know I'll make it through.
On September 20th, 2003, Hollywood Unlocked interviewed a very interesting guy by the name of Minister Yadon Yada. He also goes by the Instagram moniker Yada Awakening. And this was a person that was blowing up on social media. He calls himself a minister, a biochemist, a husband, but largely he is known for basically trying to teach Black men how to respect Black women. And another thing about Yada is that he made a life change. As you can see, 20 years ago, here in this video, he was an alleged gang member doing the wrong things, but now he's a changed man. And the things that he anymore. But another part of Yada's past was this alleged abuse of women in his life. And in this interview, he would directly be asked that by Jason Lee.
Why were you facing 40 years in prison?
Okay.
And he would respond.
I was dealing with a woman, and this woman told me, if I cannot have you, no one can have you. And in my mind, I told her, like, okay, I'm going to take care of you for a year.
Wait,
No.
if I can't have you,
No
nobody
one can have you.
Now, this is a generic response, and many men who have been accused of such things have largely passed their issues on to women. The woman was in love with me. She didn't want me to be with anybody else, and therefore she tried to ruin my life.
Damn.
Now, for sure, this is something that can actually happen. And press 1 if you're a brother and this has happened to you and you're innocent. And while you're pressing 1, don't forget to subscribe. But nonetheless, this was his response and retort to those allegations. But he would also go on to say more.
Next, you know, I became a woman beater overnight. And then she started doing podcasts and interviews about it and just got this momentum. And I'm just sitting here like, y'all believe in this without no evidence, no nothing?
Right.
And then I can't talk about an open case. So I'm getting bashed all over the internet, but I'm here.
Yada basically says these are false allegations. He was labeled a woman beater overnight. His ex went on to different podcasts trying to label him something that was not true. And by the way, his lawyer was able to beat it, so he never got charged with this. But it's interesting that his record shows something different. Now, he's been arrested a few times. Now, even though he was an alleged gang member throwing up gang signs and doing the wrong thing, he's never been arrested for drug trafficking, murder, auto theft. But in the Atlanta area, he's been booked in 2017 and twice in 2018 for a simple assault or battery against women. All of these charges, though, according to him, he says, is not true. Fast forward! A lot of the criticism that I've noticed from Mr. Yada Awakening is that a lot of black men accuse him of being completely one-sided. Let me explain what I mean.
Something is deeply wrong with the heterosexual men. They hate women. They want the woman to cook for them, clean for them, have sex with them, but they don't want to respect them. They don't want to provide for them. They don't want to be loyal to them. And we can't say these men are gay undercover because gay men are loyal to women. They love women. They compliment women. They're always around women, but something's deeply wrong with the conscious mind or the subconscious mind of the heterosexual man.
In this particular clip, he's assuming that black men who are heterosexual do not even like women. And in
Fair use. But y'all hearing what he talking about. Fair use.
fact, gay men appreciate black women more than heterosexual black men.
Boy, y'all sit your stupid ass down. Who the you think you is?
And this.
Stop trying to teach a man how to love you, how to show up for you, how to be there for you. It's impossible. You can't teach a man how to love you because a man loves through his actions. And if you watch the way he treats you, listens to the way he speaks to you, he is showing you how much he values you in his life.
This whole idea that black men are wasting your time if you're a black woman is something that is bothersome. And it puts him in the same lane as somebody like Derek Jackson, somebody like Ace Metaphor, and of course, somebody like Abba from Abba and Preach. But we'll get to that in a moment because we got to talk about unfair and unbiased commentary. Now, we understand that black men definitely have problems, but so do black women. And it's important to teach black men to respect black women. But it's one reason to just bash men all day. And when you do it, it's not like you're trying to help black women. What it looks like to a lot of black men is not only are you being disingenuous, which is the first point, but secondarily, you're trying to profit off of women's pain. And when you look at the views, if you were to go on his Instagram, you can see that he definitely gets a lot of them. This video is 480,000 where he says cash app her $15,000 just because she's yours. This other video where he's telling women to fall so deeply in love with themselves is 1.1 million views. This other one is 5.6 million views. New age heterosexual men don't actually like women is 1 million views. And if you can compare his views to the followers that he has, he's pretty much like almost like 1 for 1. That's pretty good. He gets a lot of engagement, which means that his target audience, which is, in my opinion, black women, are really feeling this. And if you look at the reason why he's doing that, well, let's just go to this website. And if you go to this website, you will see he's having products and services which largely appeal to women. and these are, health products. He's selling this Apple and Eve stuff for $100. Many folks think that this is largely a scam, but this is what he's doing. He's selling products, and he's also selling consultations. Online consultation with Yada for $500. We can assume that men are not going to want to buy this. The Protected Woman paperback, $35. The Protected Woman, the event, please see ticket type below. That's $250. The Breastfeeding Guide, $40. The Queen is Back, $35. This diabetes thing is $45. So, all of these things he has, it's largely for women. And this is one of the reasons why he has this content. Women do buy stuff like this more so than men. And that's largely true, guys. If you want to make a lot of money online, whether it's, digital products or if it's fast moving consumer goods, hey, listen, selling Black women a dream is big business. And Mr. Yada understands that. But the problem is, once you accuse Black men of not protecting Black women, you yourself must be cognizant of the fact that you must protect Black women. Isn't that right?
He's right,
But largely, this is not the case for Mr. Yada. As we have pointed out before, Yada has an issue at least keeping his hands to himself, allegedly, when it comes to Black women. We've seen that he's had this track record in 2017. He's discussed it on Hollywood Unlocked. And if he's a changed man, then largely he would not have these problems now, right? And that brings me to our next point. His beautiful wife, Aja, who is also typically seen on the videos with him, and she's a selling point. She's a very, very beautiful lady who goes by the moniker Divine Queen Yada. They have children together. In fact, this guy Yada is like a polygamist too, to a certain degree. But in any event, this is his main wife. And she is always there by his side, looking very beautiful, while he's sitting around talking to men about what they're not doing for women. Until she came out and said this.
I'm embarrassed, I'm ashamed, I'm hurt. But I know I'll make it through. I've tried everything. Yada. Everything. I'm here getting the rest of my stuff.
So Aja accuses Yada of being physically abusive. And once this happened, the internet started going crazy because he's offended so many Black men. How can the guy who always talks about protecting Black women being accused of doing the opposite thing that he preaches? This sounds very Abba-like, doesn't it?
Stop that vignette for a minute.
But not only that, she would come out with...
And real quick, one of the worst things could have ever happened was the creation of social media platforms. You're on mute, I can't hear you. It's one of the worst things.
I said, you've been saying it. You've been saying it.
This is a mess.
Yeah. He in the way.
This is a mess, bro. Go ahead.
Yeah.
With other allegations.
As much as the queen is very soft, very gentle, very dramatic, the queen's a warrior too, baby, don't play.
If you look at what she's saying here, she's basically accusing this account, Miss Yada, of coming underneath comments accusing her of cheating. Now, this is interesting because while she's accusing Yada Yahan of abusing her, he's somewhere in the Gambia walking around smiling in the camera, not even paying attention to her or not even responding to these charges. But it is a known fact, or at least it is heavily believed, that Mr. Yada has another woman in the Gambia, and he's telling this woman to basically accuse her of cheating on him, which is why he left her and she did not leave him. But that is not what her GoFundMe says, because this is what she's saying now. Help Aja support women finding safety. My name is Aja, and I'm creating this fundraiser because I know firsthand how difficult it is to leave a domestic violence situation. I recently made the painful decision to leave that kind of environment and relocate with my children to create a safer, more stable future for our family. That experience changed me, and it also showed me how many barriers women face when they are trying to get out. Domestic violence is not always only physical. Financial abuse can be just as devastating when access to money, housing, transportation, or basic resources is controlled or taken away. Stop the show. So this is a man that always talks about supporting Black women and helping them. But here he's using money as a financial tool to keep her broke. I know this can't be the same man who says that Black men are not taking care of Black women, being accused of not supporting his own wife. How hypocritical can that be? But largely, this is what she's accusing him of, as well as the other women prior to 2023 to his appearance on Hollywood Unlocked. But she would continue. I understand how quickly someone can be placed in an impossible situation, and I want to use what I have lived through to help other women escape similar circumstances. This fundraiser is focused on helping women who are trying to get to safety and begin again. I will personally choose how these funds are distributed so they can go where the need is most urgent, including relocation support, basic necessities, safety-related needs, transportation, and help with rebuilding stability after leaving. Now, the problem with this is, number one, this guy, Yada Awakening, is accused of being a scammer. And now you're starting a GoFundMe, not necessarily for yourself, as you say, but you're starting this GoFundMe to help women find safety when, it appears that you have not found safety. So it appears to be very scammy. And again, I'm not trying to hate on her situation, but it seems like she may have learned a trick or two from Mr. Yada. But what's the most devastating thing of all this, guys? Well, the Yada Awakening guy, in my honest opinion, is not going to take a devastating blow. It's already known that he was allegedly doing this before. And the one thing in the Black community, if you can just keep telling people what they want to hear, you are largely going to be in business. And as long as he keeps creating these videos about how men ain't ish, that's going to supersede the fact that he is the same kind of guy he's telling women to avoid. And I've seen Derek Jackson have a pretty big fall off, largely because he was much bigger. But the Yada Awakening guy is still going to do pretty well, in my honest opinion. His content doesn't need him to stick to what he's talking about. We've already seen that with people in the Black community, such as, Reverend Jamal Harrison Bryant. We've seen it in the past with Jesse Jackson. Dr. Umar Johnson. If you're going to be hypocritical anywhere, be hypocritical in the Black community, and you will largely be rewarded, especially if your audience is not Black men who are more than likely to hold you accountable, in my honest opinion, than women. But guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. I really appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe to the bell.
Yeah.
Tell me smooth things.
This is what we doing, bro. What you saying?
Silly women laden with sins. Tell us smooth
That's
things.
what the book's saying.
Smooth things. Tell us smooth
That's what it says. But those are the messages that prevail. Those are the messages that prevail. So when we talk about it, and we saying that we halfway there, they having babies, we producing children. But this is what we bring the children into. And so when the word says be fruitful and multiply, we got to go back to the beginning. We got to go back to what it was when the Father made that statement. Let's go back. Let's just look at the verses real quick. Let me go ahead and pull it up first. To the beginning. Yeah. This is what we've got. This is what we got to get back to. Because I don't believe in just, pointing out the problem. The solution is in the scriptures, but we got to go back to the scriptures. And the word says to try the spirit by the spirit. This is what the word say. Like I said, bro, feel free to jump in anytime. I don't have any deeper revelation. I'm just taking some things right back to the basics. Here's what it say. And the Most High said, let us make man in man's image. Is that what it say?
No, sir.
Can't hear you, bro.
Said no, sir.
It don't say that, do it? So this is what the Father is saying. Let us make man in our image and in our own likeness. And we understand, we taught this many times here in Chases, when you talk about the image and likeness, he's not talking about physical appearance. He's not talking about fingers and toes. He's not talking about hands and arms and all that. He's literally talking about character and how we move. He said, let us make man in our own image and in our likeness, and let him have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So the Most High created man in his own image. In the image of the Most High created him, male and female, he created them. Let's look at our Father's temperament, because what we have to understand is that the Father, according to the scriptures, to my understanding, he's the ultimate husband. Because what you're talking about is one who is willing to till the ground, to put the work in with the ground, even no matter what kind of ground it was. He's a husbandry to the ground. In other words, if you have thorns, he's plucking up the thorns. If you were rocky, he's uprooting it until he gets to the soil. But the Father, if you're a beaten path, he's going to break it up until there is soil that produces. But he's tilling the ground. And so what we understand with the Father is he is the ultimate husband. Let's look at this. Let me go to I'm going to figure out what verse I want to go to first. Let me go to Ezekiel 16:8. 16:8. This is what the Father says. This is what he's talking to Israel. He says, now, when I pass by thee and look upon thee, behold, thy time was the time of love. And I spread my skirt over thee and covered thy nakedness. I covered your shame. I covered your vulnerabilities. I protected you. I looked out for you. I guarded you. This is what the Father is saying to Israel. This is what the Father is saying to us. Yea, I swear unto thee and entered into a covenant with thee, and said with thee, saith the Most High, Elohim, and thou became mine. In other words, once I entered into the covenant, once I entered into the agreement with you, I made you mine. I took you unto me. And we see this demonstrated with the Father, his love demonstrated in that anything that Israel needed from the beginning, the Father made provision for it. If they was hungry, he gave manna, quail, he protected, fire by night, opening up waters. We know the story. But everything that Israel needed, if there was a nation that rose against us, He gave us the ability to conquer and to defeat them. He protected us. There were some battles that happened that we didn't even have to fight. We just came and took the spoils. But this is what the Father has been to us all this time. So when he says, going back to Genesis 1:28, being fruitful and multiply, he's expecting us to reciprocate the image. It says the Father blessed them. He blessed them, and the Most High said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over every creeping thing living that moveth upon the earth. In other words, what the Father is saying to us, move like I will move. I'm in covenant with you. I'm in relationship with you. I'm in connection with you. When you talk about being fruitful, the Hebrew word for that is para. Opening up the head, opening up the mouth, exposing the seed. When we are tested, when we are tried, when you open up our mind, what comes forth? What comes out? What is manifested? When it's good, you saw how the young lady was moving, how the young lady was acting, how she was looking. She was looking stylish. She was looking everything, whatever, everything looked peaceful. But now when we get tough times in the relationship, because this wasn't fully vetted out, now what happens is there's a disconnection. And then there's an unrighteousness that's happening. The foundation is not sure. And the reason why the foundation is not sure is because we left the image. We left the way. We didn't move in the temperament, the personality of the Father. We got away from the fruit. He said, be fruitful. We've been keeping our end of the bargain as far as multiplying because we still here. But when it comes to being fruitful, we leave that part out. We leave his character out. We leave his way out. That's why the king was so important, because he's the one that came and showed us the way. And not only was he willing to show us the way, but even Moray taught not too long ago how by the washing of the feet, he was willing to pay the price. He paid the price. What was the agreement of the price? If I sin, if I mess up, or if in a sense, according to Romans 8, I'm committed to another husband, I got to pay the price. Well, what was the price? Death. That was the agreed upon price. Because in order for the husband, in order for the first husband to relinquish hold, he had to die. That first husband had to die in order for a new husband to take in, or a new covenant, a new agreement to take place. Christ had to pay that dowry. We understand that according to Torah. There's a bride price that had to be paid. So now when you look at John and John 14, 2 and 3, where he says, I go and I prepare a place for you. The reason why he's going to prepare a place for us, he's preparing for the bride. Every time you look in scripture, the husband is preparing the place. Going back to the original thing, the willingness to pay the price, the willingness to die. The Father established this precedence even when you go back to Egypt. Remember, according to the word, he said, all souls is mine. I think that's Ezekiel 18 and 4. All souls are mine. Psalms 24 and 1, it says, the earth is mine and the fullness thereof and everything that dwells in it. So everything belongs to him. So those firstborn Egyptians that passed away, they belong to the Father too. But because he made a promise with our forefather Abraham, he was willing to give them up for us. Something that he created, something that he ordained to be here, something that he ordained. He was willing to give it up. Why? Because he's trying to get us back to that place where we can do what? Be fruitful. He's showing us what fruitfulness looks like. Because the invisible or the intangible characteristics of the fruit, when you look at joy and love and patience and peace, all of this stuff is being tried and tested, because every time we disobey, every time we get out of character, every time that we break covenant, every time we break agreement, we separate ourselves from the Father. And the Father is patient in that he keeps allowing us back in, making a way back to him, calling us back to him, to the point he even sent the king, and the king paid the bride price. So now the king has prepared a place for us that we be seated in heavenly places by the right hand of the Father. And now he's saying, yo, purify yourself, bride. Do what Vashti did. Not Vashti, Esther did. Purify yourself. Cleanse yourself. Prepare yourself for your wedding day. Prepare yourself for your marriage. What does that look like? Us loving one another. Us treating each other right. Us demonstrating the love of the king. Taking on the characteristics of the king. When the Most High created Eve, he created Eve to mimic what Adam did. Adam was supposed to show Eve how this thing was supposed to look and walk, because Adam was given the word. He was given the understanding. And he was supposed to give Eve that understanding. And then Adam and Eve together were supposed to be one flesh and move in the understanding, which was to resemble the mystery that is the Father. What happened is we got away from being fruitful, or we got away from being in the character of the Father. Because before he said, be fruitful and multiply, he said, let us make man in our image and likeness. And what happened was, everything that the Father equipped us with, which was him, his spirit, his character, his way, we separated ourselves from it. And we see it played out where people can even have a knowledge of a thing, but they still don't have the character. We still don't move in gentleness. We're still not moving in meekness. We're still not moving in kindness. We still bite and devour one another, but yet we're still producing children. And guess what's happening with our children? According to Jeremiah 16, I think it's 12, they become even more wicked than we, because they go by their own imaginations. But isn't that what Hosea said? He said, because you will be no priest to me, I will forget your children. Our children are a product of our disobedience. Because we forgot to be fruitful. We've been multiplying, family. And you see it. Our daughters in the club twerking. Our sons running around sagging. I'm seeing videos and stuff where we just randomly run around shooting each other. Why? Because even though we're multiplying, we're getting away from the character of the Father. We got to go back to the fruit. We got to go back to the fruit. Christ said, you will know a tree by the fruit it bear. Let's examine ourselves. Let's look at ourselves. We got a season of Moedim that's coming up. And we're talking about marriage, and we're talking about the marriage, and talking about marriage, we're talking about revealing the mystery that is the Father. The word says in Ephesians 5:31, it says, for this cause shall two become one. What is the cause? Revealing the mystery that is the Father. People are supposed to see our marriages. and see the Father. People are supposed to see our marriage and see the Spirit of God. Because who comes from the Father? The man and the woman. He said, let us make man in our likeness and image. He said, male and female. He created both of them. Where do man and the woman come from? They came from the Father. And if they came from the Father, both man and woman were supposed to manifest the will of the Father here in the earth in these marital covenants. All these beatings, all this domestic violence that's going on in Israel, or all this exploitation, all this divorcing, all of that that's not what the Father intended when he said, let us make man in our likeness and image. And the reason why this is important is because we're talking about the family structure. And we're talking about building a nation. And we're talking about having strong communities. And you can't have them without God-fearing families. That when we multiply, not only do we multiply, but the children are multiplied, being raised up in the knowledge and understanding of who the Father is. The same spirit that we supposed to be walking in is the same spirit that we teach them and show them to walk in. But he said, I will forget your children. You'll be no priest unto me, because we keep rejecting his law. We got it half white though. We are multiplying. We are multiplying, but we got to become fruitful, family. We have to become fruitful. We have to become the character of the Father. According to 1 Corinthians 13, I don't care anything about your ability to prophesy. I don't care about I can understand all mysteries of the scriptures. But if I don't walk in the character of the Father, he said, I'm nothing but a tinkling cymbal and a sounding brass. Why? Because I'm not moving in his character. I can have the finest car, the finest house, but if that character don't line up, I'm nothing. We got it half right. The word says, examine ourselves whether we be in the faith. We have to look in the mirror. We have to look in the mirror because we have it half right. When we are crushed, when we are tried, what comes out? When we are tested, what comes out? If you endeavor to be a husband, what will come out when your wife get on your nerves? Wives, where's your ability to submit or yield when you feel like you don't understand how your husband is moving? When these things are tested, where's the ruach when these things are tested? That's why it's easier for us to walk away. That's why it's easier for us to get a divorce. That's why it's easier for to get what, because according to my brother said, we haven't met the real Christ. We don't know how to suffer some things. We too alive. We too alive. But the word says he made us in his image and his likeness. And he said, be fruitful and multiply. So we got to make sure that first and foremost, before we get into covenant with one another, we need to be in covenant with him, because he's the one that spread his skirts over us and told us to marry, told us to do a God thing, but we can't do a God thing without him. So I wanted to show the brothers video because obviously he has a following. People flocked after him. He looked the part. The word says, no man or no woman after the, it don't say, well, it says, no man after the flesh, but after the spirit. Let's really get down to business and start really expecting the fruit of people that we trying to enter in the covenant with. Not only that, but understand also what kind of fruit are we bringing to the covenant. We have to prepare. Christ said, I go to prepare a place for you. We got to prepare. Christ dealt with himself before he could become a husbandman to us. He died to himself before he could be anything to us. So Christ understood everything that he was bringing to the marriage. So when he saw our faults, he saw our flaws, our lack of faithfulness, he was able to deal with it according to the Spirit. You don't see, only time you ever see Christ, in a sense, quote unquote, look like he got out of character was when he was dealing with unrighteous teachers. But when it came to his bride, he nurtured his bride. He healed his bride. He had patience with his bride. He taught his bride. He had private counsel with his bride. During the courtship, it was all love. You never see these instances where Christ was out of pocket with his bride. His bride had questions, Christ had answers. His bride needed provision, Christ had made provision. His bride needed vision and leadership, Christ provided these things. His bride needed prayer, guess what Christ did? He prayed. But you don't ever see Christ belittling or being belligerent with his bride. There was never a time where the bride had a black eye. Or there's never a time where the bride was called out of character, called a bee or a whore. You never see that with Christ. You never see a time where Christ dealt with his bride and called the bride sin out, but never gave the bride instructions on how to come out to sin. Because he was imitating the Father. What did the Father say in Jeremiah 31? He said, with love and kindness have I drawn thee. The Father said, I lay out blessing and I lay out cursing. Life and death. He said, choose life. That's why I'm glad you asked that, Auntie. That's why the word says that we have to prove them. The Father took us to a place in the wilderness to vet us, to prove us, to know us. That's what the courtship phase is about. Paul said, don't be anxious for anything. What happens is because we're so alive in our flesh, we feel like we want to establish the relationship, establish the connection, rather than allowing those that are in your life, in the multitude of counsel, their safety, allowing those that are in your life to help you with the vetting process. Because we don't want nobody in our business. But this is a community thing. When you look at the ancient Israel culture, everybody was aware of the courtship. Everybody was aware of the betrothal. And everybody had eyes on that man, and everybody had eyes on that woman. And so it was common practice or commonplace to see how that man was moving and how that woman was moving. And so what's happening is, because everybody doesn't want people in their business, or we're getting further and further away from the communal aspect of how we're supposed to move in these courtships or in this engagement, we're not showing the fruit of it. Well, we're losing value. And I agree, Auntie. Men abuse women and women abuse men. It go both ways. That's why I'm saying we all, men and women, got to get back to being fruitful. We've gotten away from it. We're multiplying because everybody's here. We having babies because everybody's here. But we gotten to the point where we're getting further and further and further away from the Most High. So we have to get an understanding of who the Most High is so we can come back to the Most High. We got it half right. But our fruitfulness is in our connection to the Father and our obedience with Him. We've gotten away from being fruitful. I don't know if there's anything you want to say, bro, or add to, but those were my thoughts on this tonight as far as what we're talking about. We talk about marriage, coming into covenant, dying to oneself, and getting back to the Father. So, but those are my thoughts tonight.
No, I was in the listening posture, bro.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm gonna go back and look at that Genesis 1:28.
Yeah.
That you brought up. So yes, sir.
Yeah. It talks about the threshing floor and how the seed would get crushed or go through a crushing. So when that seed goes through a crushing or it's opened up, it exposes the seed or exposes what's inside. What's happening is when we're tried, the spirit or the fruit of the spirit is not coming out. See, in that verse, the seed was righteous. But now today, when it talks about the crushing that we go through or things that we go through today, it's easy for us to jump ship or lose faith or move out of character. And you see it. We still multiplying though, but we're not fruitful as opposed to what fruitfulness is called. We've gotten further and further away from our God. But yeah, check it out, bro. The Hebrew word is parah, to be fruitful. The crushing of the head, the threshing floor.
Sorry,
That is a rough process. Yeah, he said he's going to look at Genesis 1:28.
Oh yes, the scripture that he brought out. I'm gonna go back and look at it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, ma'am. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Getting back to the Father. Christ said, "Be ye perfect as the Father is perfect." Christ came to bring us back into connection to the Father. That's what he taught. But we're so busy trying our own way. But yeah, that's what I have, and that's what I wanted to talk about with that. Let's get back, family. Let's get back. Galatians 5:22-23 is real. Exodus 34, I think it's verses 1-4, where it talks about the Father, that he is merciful, who he is. That's real. Let's get back to that way. That's what the King came to show us. There's too much going on in our schools. I'm seeing a lot of random stuff. People posting videos. One boy, just wicked as the day go out, for no reason, sit outside a store and shoot a couple women, killed one and injured the other for no reason. He didn't even know him. He held open the door for him and shot both of them. But that's what we're multiplying. Why? Because we're not raising our children up in a nurturing admonition. Our fathers haven't taken homes back. The family structure is out of whack, and we got to get it back into place. We're further and further away from our Father. But that's all I have on that. I know there's more that can be said, but that's all I have on that so far. So there be no questions, no additional stuff. Bro, you had the last words, and we'll close out.
Oh, no, you good, bro.
Okay. That being said, family, we love you. Thank y'all for joining us. Thank y'all for watching with us tonight. You all have a blessed and wonderful day, and we will see you all as far as chases go. We'll see you all on Shabbat class, and then we also have our history class on Sunday. That being said, we love you. Shalom, family.